So thank you, Devin, and I'm so excited to speak with you all on this topic of what's normal anyways, because I think this is the first step in embracing innovation. You really have to look at what is normal and question why is it that way, and then question what do we actually need it to be. And so I'm excited to share my journey of innovation as well as a little bit of information about our program. So I want to tell you my story because when I entered college, yes, I was a sports medicine major, and then quickly switched to econ and marketing due to the story that Devin shared. And so I found myself as a sophomore in the business school. And so I threw myself into the business school. I was a part of the business fraternity. I got an internship in market research. I even bought pantsuits in multiple colors. I was totally invested. And so I did everything that I could to be the best business student on paper. But it turns out my heart was 15 minutes away at an elementary school. See, I attended a university in my hometown, a town that I thought I knew everything about. But it turns out this elementary school was just 10 miles from my own, yet could not have looked any different. Those 10 miles determined whether classrooms had 20 students or 40 students. Those 10 miles determined whether students got access to music, PE, art, all the fun stuff. And then those 10 miles determined whether it was safe to play outside after school or if you were told to go straight home. And to be honest, I was shocked when I discovered this because my town isn't that big, and this disparity existed under my nose my entire life. And so I did everything that I could. I tutored, I coached a sport I didn't even play, and I created a reading club. I just wanted to give these students more, a little bit of what I had been given just 10 miles away. And so I lived this siloed life for 2 years. I was the best business student ever, and then at night I would impact education. And so for 2 years I did that, and by getting to my senior year, the tension in my gut was real. Because on one hand, I had an excellent job lined up. It should have checked all the boxes. It paid well, it was creative, I would have actually gotten to wear all of those pantsuits. But on the other hand, thank you for laughing. And thank you, I planted him. But on the other hand, I had this tremendous opportunity to join the 2009 Teach for America Phoenix Corps. I had two amazing opportunities that could not have been more different, and they both felt like me. But here I was having to make a really difficult choice. It turns out my story isn't that, or it's pretty normal. I mean, not the passing out during your internship or anything, but just that having to choose between choosing your passion or what do I want to be when I grow up. And so in higher education, looking at what's normal, we throw a million majors their way. We have student clubs galore. We have opportunities for service, for leadership, for entrepreneurship. We want them to find themselves. But students have to navigate all of those things on their own and somehow magically still graduate on time. At the end of the day, our model is failing them because students are rarely able to put all of those pathways together and have them converge. They're still having to make those tough choices, and what's normal isn't what's needed for our students. But it doesn't have to be like that. In fact, it can't be like that because the greatest challenges of our time require leaders in every field, in every sector, to stand up and commit to making a change. But that sounds really ambitious, right? Like, how are we supposed to train an accounting major, a zoology major, and everyone in between in some unified way? I mean, that sounds crazy. But what if I told you that not only was it possible, but it was actually happening? That there was a real model for developing leaders of change in every field at a scale that matters. So I'd like to introduce you to the Next Generation Service Corps, a program that we started 3 years ago at Arizona State University in the Public Service Academy. And the premise of this program is it's a 4-year leadership development program where students can commit to becoming leaders of change that can cross sectors, connect networks, and ignite action for the greater good. And this is a look at our very first cohort on, I think, their 5th day in the program. And now we have 400 undergraduates from over 120 fields of study just in our first 3 years. And these students are committed to their own mission of change. And so we have English majors committed to pushing forward immigration reform. And we have finance majors that are committed to closing that gender wage gap. But the story I want to share with you is one that actually parallels my own in a little bit of a way. It's the story of Rachel. Rachel's in this picture. told her I wouldn't point her out, but she is an astrophysics major. And she studies things like supernovas and black holes, and honestly, things I'm not going to pretend to understand. But she wants to work at NASA or SpaceX and explore that final frontier and make it more accessible. But that's not who all of Rachel is. She is also coming from a Title I background, a Title I school that, unfortunately, she saw the implications of educational inequality every day. 4 of her best friends dropped out because of immigration crackdowns, gang dependency, teen pregnancy. And so Rachel doesn't understand why she is the lucky one, but what she does know is that luck cannot be the single determinant of a student's success. And so Rachel wants to use whatever platform she can to mentor students in her community and also push for more STEM education, because that is what inspired her to do what she's doing. That is Rachel's passion. And so in our program, we are as intentional about what students have a passion for as their major, and we want them to be able to connect those things. And so when students come into our program, they declare a social mission, an issue area that they want to learn more about, that they want to create networks around, and that they ultimately want to learn how they can be a part of the solution. And so sometimes major and mission go really nicely together. They, like nursing students choosing access to healthcare. But in Rachel's case, quantum physics doesn't overlap with education and the inequalities that exist very often. And so how do we ensure that major and mission can be blended for every student? And so what we do is we looked at what's normal. We didn't want to add more to students' plates because they're already busy enough. And so we looked at what the normal model was for students. And then we disrupted each 4 of these components. So with student organizations, true fact, there is no shortage of student organizations in the world. There's not going to be a depletion of them. And so at Arizona State University, we have 1,509 student organizations. I'm pretty sure in the 2 days that I've been in Boston, we've probably added a couple more. And so students have to sift through all of those options. They have to go online and find the right person. They have to send that awkward email to find out where the meeting is. They have to go to the meeting. They have to prove to others why they're at this meeting. There's a lot of hoops to jump through. And so we really wanted to help build connections intentionally. So we pair students right at the beginning into what we call mission teams, people that share similar passions as them, but likely they never would have met. And so Rachel, in her first couple days, got to meet Riley, a business major, and Stephen, a computer science major, and others who also care about education, but were coming from different backgrounds. And together they volunteer at schools. They go to school board meetings. They study policy. They talk to legislatures. They basically figure out all the different ways they can continue to impact education and who can help them get there. But those connections alone won't do it. In college, we tell students to take classes because that's how you learn and that's how you get your skills. And so Rachel, in her major, is learning all the things to become an expert of all things space. But she's not learning how to work across sectors. And she's not learning how to create solutions in education. And so Rachel would have to find other classes that would fit those needs. And sometimes she wouldn't even have access because she's not from that major. And so we broke down those barriers for our students, providing all of them with access to classes like cross-sector collaboration, design thinking, and all these different options for them to learn skills that they can bring into their future careers. And these are taught by leading faculty from the community, from Intel, from city governments, people that can attest to the importance of this work in everything that they do. Next is internships. If you're like me, you did an internship. I did too, because I passed out in my first one. But we want students to do internships and get that real world experience. And so, but normally it's in one field, it's like your junior or senior year, and it's pretty narrow. We believe internships have the opportunity to broaden your lens and build empathy. And so we have our students do internships in the public, private, and nonprofit sectors. And we want them to connect those networks and learnings across those fields, because not only will they work in one of those sectors, but they will work with all of them. And so at the end of Rachel's time, she will have experience in the private sector, but she will also have experience in the nonprofit and public sector around education. And so she will have a resume that supports who she is holistically and what she brings. And last is leadership. There are a dime a dozen opportunities for students to get student leadership experience in college, but are we being intentional about showing them how it is to train to be a good leader? So in our program, we have 50 student leadership positions that we rotate every semester. Not because we're crazy, but because we want to intentionally coach our students to be good leaders, to build shared vision, to delegate well, to communicate well, to be organized, and to help move a group towards a goal. Because not only will they need to do that now, but in order to create the change we want them to make, they have to be able to lead others effectively. And so these are tangible skills that they can continue to practice as they go. So this is our model. It's not rocket science. It's just taking 4 normal components and rethinking them into a new and intentional way. When I think back to my own compartmentalized experience in college, I realized I could have had all these opportunities too. I could have done internships in all of the different sectors. I could have asked for feedback about my own leadership. I could have found those specialized classes that were outside the walls of the business school. But the thing about it was that I had no idea that I should. I had no one telling me that this would be valuable. I had no clue I should be getting that experience. And so for me, I faced this black or white decision that really tore at my core, but my Rachel and all of her peers are able to put all those pieces together and form multiple pathways so that they can meet all of their goals without having to compromise. Our students are complex individuals. All of our students are. They have big dreams and great passion, but it's our responsibility to show them that they can do both and that we can't just have them training to be what's normal. We need them to train to be what is needed. And so I thank you, and I invite you to share this model with your own students. Thank you.